It all ended in a kitchen. It was our engagement party. The house was full of people. I could hear laughter and glasses clinking in the living room. But in the kitchen, it was quiet. It smelled like roasting garlic and Aliner's expensive perfume. Aliner, my future mother-in-law, stood with her back to the stainless steel refrigerator. She was smiling, but it wasn't her usual party smile. This one was all teeth. "So, Alina," she said, her voice was light, "we are so happy to welcome you to the family, and we want to show our support." Arthur, my future father-in-law, stood beside her. He held a thin, leather-bound folder. "We just have one small formality," Aliner said. She tapped the folder. "A standard prenup. I'm sure you understand, just to protect Mark." I looked at the folder. Then I looked for Mark, my fiancé. He was standing in the doorway, half in the kitchen, half in the hall. He wouldn't look at me. He was staring at a spot on the floor. That's when I knew. This wasn't a formality. This was a test, or maybe it was an execution. My heart didn't break, it just stopped. It went cold. I felt the blood drain from my face, but I kept my spine straight. I had been with Mark for 3 years. I loved him, or I loved the man I thought he was. The man in the doorway was a stranger, a coward. "A prenup," I repeated. It didn't even sound like my voice. "Just to keep things clean," Arthur said. He had a booming voice, but now it was low. "Protecting family assets. You run a business, Alina. You understand contracts." I run a small marketing consultancy. They ran a multi-million-dollar import business, or so I thought. "What assets exactly?" I asked. Aliner's smile faltered. "That's for the lawyers, dear. We just want this signed before we put down the deposits for the wedding." And there it was, the other shoe, the $80,000 shoe. Just 10 minutes earlier, Arthur had been making a toast. He held his champagne glass high. "To Mark and Alina," he shouted. The 50 guests in their oversized living room cheered. "We are so proud of our son, a brilliant doctor, and he's found a wonderful woman." Alina was beside him, beaming. She looked every bit the wealthy matriarch. "We couldn't be happier, and as our gift to the happy couple, we are sending them on a first-class 3-week honeymoon, anywhere they want to go." More cheers. Mark squeezed my hand. I was smiling so hard my face hurt. I felt genuinely loved, accepted. After years of feeling like I was on probation, I finally felt like I was in. After the toast, Alina pulled me aside. Mark followed, but he seemed distracted, checking his phone. "Alina, darling," she whispered, guiding me toward the kitchen. "About the wedding, I've been thinking. Your little idea of a winery, it's sweet, but it's small." I had wanted a small wedding, maybe 75 people. "Mark is an important man," she continued. "His colleagues, our friends, they expect a certain standard." I was looking at castles. "There's a beautiful one upstate. It's an $80,000 venue, but it's worth it. It makes a statement." I was stunned. "Alina, I can't ask you to pay for that. We can't afford that." "Nonsense," she said, waving her hand. "We will take care of it. It's our gift for our son." She paused. "And for you, of course, we want you to have the wedding of your dreams." I was overwhelmed. I looked at Mark. He was scrolling through his phone. "Mark, did you hear? Your mom wants to book the castle." He looked up, a vague smile on his face. "Oh, yeah, sounds great, Mom." I should have seen it then. His lack of enthusiasm, his detachment. I thought he was just stressed from work. I thought he was letting his mother have her moment. "So we agree," Alina said, her eyes bright. "The castle, 250 guests, Vera Wang." I laughed, a little dazed. Yes, okay, if you're sure." "Wonderful." Her smile tightened. "Arthur and I just need to get one small piece of business out of the way first." And she led me into the kitchen, where Arthur was waiting with that leather folder. The silence in the kitchen was heavy. It pressed down on me. "Mark," I said, my voice was a whisper. He finally looked up, His eyes were blank. Alina, it's just paperwork, it's standard, my parents. They've worked hard for what they have. It's just smart. Smart, I repeated. I looked back at Alina. You offer me an $80,000 wedding, and then you hand me this. Is this the price? I sign away my rights and I get a party. Alina's face went hard. The kindness vanished. Watch your tone, young lady. We are offering you a life. We paid for Mark's medical school. We financed his entire career. We are protecting our investment. Investment. He wasn't her son. He was an asset, and I was a liability. I need to have my lawyer look at this, I said. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. Of course, Arthur boomed, suddenly cheerful again. We'll even pay for your lawyer. We want this to be completely transparent. We'll use our family lawyer. He'll explain it all to you. No, I said. I'll find my own. I looked at Mark one more time. Are you coming? He hesitated. He looked at his mother, then at his father, then back at me. I'll be right out. I just need to talk to my parents. I knew in that moment he wasn't coming. He had made his choice. I turned. I walked out of the kitchen. I walked past the laughing guests. I grabbed my coat and my purse from the entry. I walked out the front door into the cold night air, and I didn't look back. I sat in my car for a long time. I didn't cry. I was just cold, empty. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mark. The text said, "You're overreacting. Come back inside." I started the car. I drove home. He came home 2 hours later. I was sitting on the sofa in the dark. I hadn't even taken off my coat. The folder was on the coffee table. Alina, what are you doing? He asked, turning on the light. He looked annoyed. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed my parents. They humiliated me, I said. How? By offering you the wedding of your dreams. By protecting their family. God, Alina, don't be so dramatic. There it was, the gaslighting. The word he always used when I had a problem with his family. Dramatic, overreacting, sensitive. They called you an investment, Mark. He sighed, running his hands through his hair. They're from a different generation. They don't mean it like that. They love me, they're just careful. After what happened with Chloe, can you blame them? Chloe was his sister. She had a small courthouse wedding 2 years ago. His parents had been furious. They said she was throwing her life away on a struggling artist. What does Chloe have to do with this? I asked. They paid for her college, her master's, and then she marries that guy and he… Look, it was a mess. They just don't want to see me get taken advantage of. Taken advantage of? My voice rose. Me, Mark, I have my own career. I make good money. I'm not after yours. I know, he said, trying to soften. He came toward me. I know that, but they don't just read the prenup. Have your lawyer read it. It's nothing. It's just paper. Sign it. We'll have the wedding. We'll go to Fiji. This will all be forgotten. He tried to kiss me. I turned my head. I don't know who you are, I said. His face hardened again. Fine, be this way. But my parents are right. We're not paying for a single thing until this is signed. This is on you, Alina. Don't ruin this for us. He went into the bedroom. He slammed the door. I sat in the dark for another hour. Then I picked up the phone. I called the one person I knew would be on my side. My sister, Clara. Clara is a paralegal. She's not a lawyer, but she knows more about contracts and finding information than anyone I know. She's tough. She's practical. She hates the Colemans. He did what? She said. It was 2 a.m. They gave me a prenup. At the engagement party, her voice was flat. Yes. And Mark just stood there. Yes. I heard her sigh. Alina, I've been telling you for years that family is poison, and Mark is the weakest one of all. Email me the document, right now. I scanned all 30 pages. I sent them. I waited. Clara called me back at 7 a.m. She hadn't slept. Alina, she said. Her voice was different. It was cold. This isn't a prenup, this is a trap. What do you mean? I mean this is not a standard. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours agreement. This is a what's yours is ours, and what's ours is none of your business agreement. This thing has clauses I've never seen. She started reading them off. It waives your right to any spousal support, ever, even if you're disabled. It waives your right to the marital home, even if you've paid into the mortgage. But this is the monster. She took a breath. It states, she read slowly, that you agree to assume shared responsibility for all personal and familial debts incurred by either party during the marriage, regardless of origin. But it also states that all assets, properties, and trusts held by the Coleman family shall remain the exclusive property of said family, and you waive all rights to claim or contest them. I didn't understand. What does that mean, Clara? It means, Alina, that your money is their money, your salary, your savings, your partnership track, but their money is their money. You get nothing, but you pay for everything. This isn't just protecting them from you. This is something else. This is predatory. Clara's words echoed in my head all day. Predatory. Mark had already left for the hospital when I woke up. He left a note. Don't forget to call your lawyer. Let's get this done. I went to work. I sat in meetings. I smiled at clients, but my insides were frozen. I thought back. I saw all the little red flags, all the moments I had brushed off. The time Alina came to our apartment when I was at work. She surprised me by redecorating our living room. She replaced my grandmother's armchair with a cold, leather monstrosity. When I cried, Mark told me I was ungrateful. The time Arthur took us to dinner and joked about my job. Marketing, that's cute. It's good to have a hobby. My son saves lives. You help people buy things they don't need. Mark just laughed. The constant, endless praise for his sister, Chloe. Chloe was so smart, Alina would say. She had a simple courthouse wedding, no fuss. She and her husband are building their life together. They're so practical. But that made no sense. They hated Chloe's husband. They called him a deadbeat. And now, they were pushing me to have the exact opposite, an $80,000 castle wedding. Why? Why praise Chloe for being practical and then force me into extravagance? It didn't add up. I called Clara on my lunch break. Clara, I think something is really wrong. I know, she said. I'm already looking. What do you mean? This $80,000 castle, this prenup, it feels desperate. I'm running a check on the family business, on their properties. Is that legal? Public records are public, sis. They wanted a lawyer. They're getting one. For 3 days, there was a horrible false peace. Mark was polite. We lived like roommates. He'd ask, "Did you talk to your lawyer?" And I'd say, "She's reviewing it." He acted like I was the one causing a problem, like I was the one holding up our happiness. "My mom booked the castle," he said one night. "She had to put down a $10,000 non-refundable deposit. She's really trusting you here, Alina. Don't let her down." My blood ran cold. She what? She's showing good faith. She wants this wedding. She wants you in the family. All you have to do is sign the paper. He was trying to corner me. They were trying to financially trap me into it. "See, we already spent money on you. You owe us." I felt sick. I was in my office, staring at a spreadsheet I couldn't read, when Clara called. "Sit down," she said. I'm sitting. "The Colemans are broke." I just stared at the wall. What? Broke, leveraged to the hilt, the import business, Coleman Global. It's a shell. It's drowning in debt. They have 3 mortgages on their house. The one they had the party in, it's in foreclosure. The auction is in 30 days. I couldn't breathe. But the cars, the parties, the honeymoon. All of it, it's a performance. It's a house of cards. They're broke. Utterly, completely broke. The $80,000 wedding. "Oh my God," I whispered. "They never meant to pay for it." "Of course not," Clara said. "They couldn't pay for it. They needed you to refuse. They needed you to see the prenup and walk away. They wanted you to be the one to cancel the wedding. Then they could play the victims. Our horrible, gold-digging daughter-in-law. She left our poor son when she found out she wouldn't get our money. Their saving face. They're trying to make you the villain so no one finds out their failures." It was brilliant, and it was disgusting. "But, Mark," I said, "does he know?" There was a pause. "That's the part I'm still working on," Clara said. "But Alina, it gets worse." "What do you mean worse?" I asked. My hands were gripping the desk. "That clause," Clara said. "The one about you assuming all personal debts, it's too specific. Why would they add that?" "It's not standard. It's almost like they expect there to be debts." "Mark's medical school loans," I offered. "No, they paid those. They brag about it all the time, right?" "Right. So what else is there?" she mused. "Alina, what do you really know about Mark's finances? You're not on his accounts, are you?" "No," I admitted. "He always said it was cleaner to keep things separate until we were married. He said he has a financial advisor, someone his dad set him up with." "Get me that advisor's name," Clara said. "And his bank, anything you can find." That night, I went through his desk. I felt horrible. I felt like a spy, but I wasn't a fiancé anymore. I was an investigator. I was a woman trying to find out what her life was supposed to be. I found his bank statements. I always thought he was so responsible. He's a surgeon. He makes good money. But the statements, I didn't understand them. There were huge withdrawals, thousands at all hours of the night, transfers to accounts I didn't recognize, Venmo payments with strange labels. And he was always low. By the end of the month, his account was always near empty. Where was all his money going? He was always on call. He was always stressed. He was always exhausted. I thought it was the hospital. I thought he was just a dedicated doctor. I took pictures of everything. I sent them to Clara. The next call from Clara came when I was at home. Mark was working a double shift. "Alina, I know where the money is going." Her voice was grave. "He's a gambler." I dropped the phone. I picked it up. "What? No, he's Mark. He's responsible." "No, he's not," Clara said, her voice hard. "He's an addict. I ran the names of those accounts he's transferring to. They're offshore online casinos. The withdrawals, they're cash advances from high-interest lenders. He's not just gambling, Alina. He's drowning in debt." How bad?" I whispered. "I can't get the exact total, but from what I can see, it's at least $450,000. A small, strangled sound came out of my throat. $450,000. "His parents know," I said. It wasn't a question. "They have to," Clara confirmed. "They must have been bailing him out for years, but now, they broke. They can't bail him out anymore. They can't pay his debts. And they can't let their golden boy, the doctor, be exposed. His hospital would suspend him. They would lose everything." The pieces clicked into place. It was a cold, sharp, horrible picture. The prenup. It wasn't to protect their assets from me. It was to protect them from his debts. No, it was worse. It was to use me. To use my income, my good credit, my partnership track at my firm. "That clause," I said, my voice shaking, "assuming all personal debts." "Yes," Clara said. "They were going to trap you. They were going to marry you to him. You would be legally tied to his $450,000 debt, and the prenup would ensure you couldn't touch a dime of their non-existent money. They weren't just saving face. They were finding a new bank. I was the new bank. They were sacrificing me. They were going to let me marry an addict, assume his crippling debt, and be legally powerless. And Mark was letting them. He was standing in that doorway, watching them hand me the contract, knowing it was a death sentence. I was sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. I washed my face. I looked in the mirror. I didn't recognize the woman looking back at me. She was pale, her eyes were red, but she was also cold. The humiliation was gone. The sadness was gone. All that was left was a pure, cold, clean anger. They thought I was stupid. They thought I was a naive, lovesick girl who would sign anything for a castle and a doctor husband. They thought they could ruin my life to save their reputation. They underestimated me. I called Clara back. I need copies, I said. Copies of what? Everything, the foreclosure notice on their house, the liens on the business, Mark's bank statements, the loan agreements from the online lenders, everything you can find. Print it out, put it in a folder. Elena, what are you going to do? Mark's parents are throwing us a rehearsal dinner on Saturday, at the Vanguard. It was the most expensive restaurant in the city, a place they couldn't afford, another performance. You're not still going? Clara asked. Oh, I'm going, I said, and I'm bringing a gift. The next 2 days were the hardest of my life. I had to act. I had to pretend to be the confused, hesitant fiancé. Mark was starting to get nervous. The rehearsal dinner was approaching. I still hadn't signed. Elena, he said, trying to be gentle, my mom is holding the reservation at the Vanguard. All our family is flying in. You are coming, right? You're not going to do this to me. Do this to you? I wanted to scream. You were going to feed me to the wolves. But I smiled. It felt like my face was cracking. Of course I'm coming, Mark, I said. I'm just scared. It's a big step. My lawyer is just slow. He relaxed. Okay, good. Look, once it's signed, this all goes away. It's just us. He kissed my forehead. I had to stop myself from wiping it off. On Saturday morning, I met Clara. She handed me a thick, black folder. It's all in there, she said. The foreclosure, the business debts, and the best part. I got copies of the casino markers and the default letters from his lenders. It's all addressed to his parents' house. They knew. They've been hiding his mail. I held the folder. It felt heavy. It felt like a bomb. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked. They gave me a contract, I said. I'm just giving them my revisions. The private room at the Vanguard was suffocating. It was all dark wood and low lighting. There were 30 people there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole Coleman clan, all flown in to celebrate, all here to watch the show. They all believed the lie. They saw Elena and Arthur as the pillars of the community. They saw Mark as the brilliant, successful son. They saw me as the lucky girl who had snagged him. Elena was glowing. She wore a diamond necklace that must have been a fake or rented. She kissed my cheek. Elena, you look lovely, a bit pale. Are you nervous? A little, I said, holding my black folder. Oh, don't be silly, she said, patting my arm. It's just family. Mark was at the bar, already drinking. He looked relieved. He thought I was here to surrender. He thought I had signed. We sat, we ate appetizers, we made small talk. The entire time, the folder was on my lap. Then Arthur stood up. He tapped his glass. Friends, family, he began. We are here to celebrate Mark and Elena. We are so proud of the man our son has become, and we are so thrilled to welcome Elena into our family. He smiled at me. A family is built on trust, he said. It's built on shared values. It's built on making smart, secure decisions for the future. We've always tried to give our children that security. And we know, Elena shares those values. I felt the blood pounding in my ears. He was talking about the prenup. He was telling the whole room in code that I had passed their test, that I had signed. Elena stood up, raising her glass. To a smart, secure future, to family. To family, the room echoed. I stood up. The room went quiet. Everyone was looking at me. Mark froze, his glass halfway to his lips. Eleanor's smile wavered. "I'd like to say something," I said. My voice was clear, it didn't even shake. "Thank you, Arthur. Eleanor," I started. "Thank you for that toast, and thank you for this dinner. It's an incredible gesture, especially under the circumstances." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "What circumstances, dear?" "Well, the circumstances of this," I said. I stepped forward. I placed the black folder on the table. I opened it. I took out the first paper. I held it up. "This," I said, "is a notice of foreclosure on your house, the one we were all in last week. The auction is in 30 days. A collective gasp went through the room. Arthur's face went white. "What is the meaning of this?" he blustered. "It means you're broke," I said. "This dinner, the honeymoon, the $80,000 castle wedding, it's all a lie. You can't afford any of it." "How dare you?" Eleanor hissed. You gold digging." "Ah," I said. "That's the word, isn't it? Gold digger. That's what you wanted everyone to think when I refused to sign your prenup. Because you knew I'd refuse. You wanted me to. You couldn't afford the wedding and you needed me to be the bad guy." The room was silent. You could hear a pin drop. "But I didn't refuse," I said. "I just had questions about this." I took out the prenup. "You see, this is a very interesting contract. I had my sister, a paralegal, review it." I looked around the table, at all the shocked faces. "This prenup," I said, "wasn't to protect your assets because you don't have any. This was about his." I turned. I looked right at Mark. He was shaking. He had spilled his drink. "His," one of the aunts whispered. "Mark is a doctor. He's an addict," I said. I threw the next set of papers on the table. They scattered. Casino markers, default notices, high-interest loan agreements. "Mark," I said, my voice cutting through the silence, "is $450,000 in debt, gambling, online casinos for years." Eleanor let out a small scream. "Lies, these are lies." "Are they?" I asked. I held up a default letter. "This one is addressed to your house, Eleanor. You've been hiding his mail. You've known all along." Mark put his head in his hands. "You're broke," I said to his parents. "And your son is an addict. You couldn't bail him out anymore, so you needed a new plan." I looked at Mark. "You needed me." I held up the prenup again. "This contract was designed to trap me. It would make me legally responsible for his $450,000 debt. It would have given you access to my salary, my partnership, my future, while at the same time, it would wall me off from any claim to your family assets. You weren't protecting your family. You were sacrificing me to save your reputation." The room exploded. "Arthur, is this true?" an uncle shouted. "Mark, gambling." Eleanor stood up. Her face was twisted with rage. "She did this. She drove him to it. She's a monster. She's—" "Stop," I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through her shriek. "Stop talking, Eleanor." She stopped. "You did this," I said. "You and Arthur. You raised a son who couldn't stand on his own. You raised him to be a liar. You raised him to hide. And when he fell, you didn't help him. You just found someone else to push in front of him. You found me." I turned to Mark. He was sobbing now, a quiet, pathetic sound. "I loved you," I said. "I would have helped you if you had told me the truth. I would have stood by you. We could have fought this. But you didn't just lie to me. You tried to destroy me. You sat there in that kitchen. You watched your parents hand me my own death warrant. And you said it was just paperwork." He looked up at me. His eyes were red. "Elena, I didn't know. I can stop." "I know you can't," I said. "And I know you didn't know the specifics. You just did what you always do. You let your parents handle it. You just stayed silent." I looked back at Arthur and Eleanor. They were finished. Their faces were gray. Their family, their legacy, their reputation. It was all gone, right here. in this expensive room they couldn't afford. I put the last of the papers back in my folder. I closed it. "The wedding," I said, "is obviously off." I looked at Mark. "I hope you get help, real help, not just your parents' lies." I looked at Alina and Arthur. "You should have just been honest. You should have just let your business fail. You might have saved your house. You might have saved your son." I picked up my purse. I walked to the door. Every eye in the room was on me. No one said a word. I opened the door. I walked out into the cool night air. And for the first time in 3 years, I could finally breathe. The aftermath was quiet, for me anyway. For them, it was a firestorm. The Colemans lost the house. The family, the aunts and uncles I had just exposed, turned on them. No one offered to help. Their pride had cost them everything. They ended up moving into a small apartment. Arthur, at 65, had to get a job as a greeter at a store. Alina, I don't know what happened to Alina. No one hears from her. Mark was suspended from the hospital. The board found out about the debts, the addiction. They mandated he go to an inpatient rehab program. I heard he's still there. I hope he gets better. I really do. But he's not my problem anymore. And me. I took a new job in a new city. I got that partnership. I'm doing well. I had to tell this story, not for revenge, but for clarity. They tried to write a story for me. They tried to cast me as the villain, the gold digger, the girl who ruined their perfect family. But they were the ones who were rotten. They weren't protecting their son. They were protecting their lie. They handed me a contract. They thought I was too stupid or too in love to read the fine print. Here's the moral. Here's the truth I learned. Never let anyone else define your worth. Never let them hand you a pen and tell you where to sign. Read the contract. Read the room. And never, ever be afraid to write your own ending. If this story helped you, or if you've ever been in a situation where you were made to feel small, share this. Tell me in the comments, what was the one red flag you wish you had paid attention to? And if you want to hear more stories about finding the truth,